Watch this chick for a second. It's a few hours old. Its eyes haven't opened. It's completely blind. It's naked, pink. It can barely hold its own head up. And right now, it's working harder than it will ever work again in its life because it's trying to commit murder. Watch what it's doing. It wedges an egg into the little hollow of its back, braces its bare legs against the bottom of the nest, and starts to climb backwards, blind, hauling that egg up the inside wall. In a second, it's going to heave it over the edge and drop it to the water below, and then it's going to go back for the next one, until it's the only one left alive. But here's the part that should stop you. Those aren't its brothers and sisters, and the two birds who will spend the next month feeding it. Those aren't its parents. This little killer is running a con so old and so ruthless that we're still, to this day, untangling exactly how it works. And no, I'm not going to tell you yet what happens to the birds who raise it. Stay with me, because you need to see how a blind newborn already knows how to do this, and why the parents just let it. This is a common cuckoo, and it might be the most successful liar in the natural world. It starts with the mother, and she is the whole reason this works. A female cuckoo doesn't build a nest. She doesn't raise her chicks. She doesn't do a single thing a parent bird is supposed to do. Instead, she spends her spring watching other birds, small ones, like this reed warbler, a bird half her size building a neat little cup of a nest down in the reeds over the water. She watches, and she waits, and she times it perfectly, and the moment the warblers leave that nest unguarded, she drops down onto it and moves faster than you would believe. In about 10 seconds, it's done. She lifts one of the warbler's own eggs out and swallows it, making room, and making sure the count still looks right when the parents come back. Then she lays one of her own eggs directly into the nest, and her egg is a forgery. Over thousands of years, cuckoos have evolved to lay eggs that mimic the color and the speckle pattern of the exact host species they target. So a warbler's egg is copied by a warbler cuckoo, a pipit's egg by a pipit cuckoo. She lays her counterfeit, and she's gone. 10 seconds, and the trap is set. The warblers come home to a nest that looks completely normal, and they've just adopted a bomb. And getting those 10 unguarded seconds is a trick all by itself. Look closely at a female cuckoo, and something might nag at you. The gray back, the finely barred underside, the long tail, the shape of her in flight. She looks, deliberately, like a sparrowhawk, a predator that small birds are terrified of. When she glides in low toward a nest, the parents often panic and scatter, mistaking the thief for a killer, and in the gap where they've fled for their lives, she robs them blind. She has evolved to wear the costume of the one thing that would make you flee your own eggs, and it runs even deeper than that. A female tends to target the same kind of bird that raised her, laying her whole life into that one host species so entire lineages of forgers stay locked onto their marks, generation after generation, each one perfecting the same forged egg. Because the cuckoo egg has one more trick built in. It hatches early. The cuckoo chick develops faster than the host's own eggs, so it breaks out first, often a couple of days ahead of its siblings, and that head start is everything. Because it means that when this blind, hours-old chick starts its killing, the others are still helpless eggs or newly hatched and weaker than it is. It's not a fair fight. It was never meant to be. And this is where we come back to what it's doing right now. Nobody taught it this. Its real mother was gone before it ever cracked the shell. She's off laying more eggs and more nests, and she is never coming back. There's no older cuckoo to copy. This chick, blind and naked and less than a day old, simply knows. It feels an egg touch its side, and an ancient reflex fires. Get it onto the back, brace, climb, heave it over. One by one it finds every other egg and every other chick in that nest, and it levers them up and tips them out, over the rim, down into the reeds and the water, until the nest holds one single occupant, itself. The whole murderous routine is written into it from before it hatched, the same way the forged egg was written into its mother. Just sit with that for a second. A newborn, eyes still sealed shut, methodically clearing a nest of every living thing that isn't itself. Not out of anger, not even really out of hunger, but because a program millions of years old is running, and it cannot not run it. They watch their own eggs go over the side, and they do nothing to stop it. In fact, once it's done, they lean in and feed the very chick that just killed their brood. Which brings us to the second half of the con, and honestly it might be the stranger half. Because now these two little warblers have to raise it, and it grows and grows and grows into something that looks nothing like them and dwarfs them completely. Within a couple of weeks, the cuckoo chick is bigger than the nest that holds it, spilling over the sides. It becomes several times the size of its foster parents, until you're watching a bird the size of a fist being fed by a bird the size of a thumb, a parent that has to practically climb onto the giant just to reach its mouth. You'll see a warbler actually perch right on top of the cuckoo, on its head, on its back, and lean down into that cavernous orange mouth like it's dropping food into a well. To any outside eye, it's absurd. It should be impossible for them not to notice. And yet they don't stop. They lose weight. Their feathers go ragged. Some of them pour so much into the imposter that it burns up their whole season. The one chance they had that year to raise young of their own, spent entirely on a chick that doesn't share a single drop of their blood. Why? Because the cuckoo hijacks the exact buttons that make a parent bird a parent. That huge gaping orange mouth is a supersized version of the signal every hungry chick uses, and the warbler's brain simply can't refuse it. And there's a second cheat on top of that. A single cuckoo chick needs as much food as a whole brood of warblers would, so it fakes being a whole brood. It gives a rapid begging call, a fast stream of cheeps that sounds like a nest full of starving babies, not just one. It's a lie aimed straight at the parent's instincts, and it works. The warblers run themselves ragged, dawn to dusk, stuffing food into a monster, convinced they're feeding their family. Now, what all of this actually is underneath is not cruelty. The cuckoo isn't evil. It can't be. It's the product of one of the longest, fiercest arms races on the planet, because the hosts are not standing still. Over generations, reed warblers have started to fight back, learning to spot an egg that's a little bit wrong and throw it out before it ever hatches. So the cuckoos are pushed to forge better and better eggs. The hosts get sharper eyes. The cuckoos get better fakes. It's a war measured in tiny details, fought over thousands of years, and this blind chick heaving eggs over the side is just the latest move in it. Some populations of warblers have gotten so good at spotting fakes that the cuckoos have been beaten there entirely and had to move on to other victims. And if a blind newborn running a con this ruthless is the kind of thing you want more of, do me a favor and subscribe. There's a new wild survival story here every week. Now stay with me, because the loneliest twist is still coming, and it turns this whole story on its head. Because here is the thing about our little killer. It will never meet its own kind, not for a long time, and never the ones that made it. By late summer, every adult cuckoo, including its real mother and father, simply leaves. They fly thousands of miles south, all the way to Central Africa, and they go early, weeks before the young birds are even ready. So when this cuckoo finally fledges, fully grown, and lifts off from the reeds for the first time, there is no family waiting, no flock to follow, no one to show it the way. It has never seen another cuckoo in its life. And yet a few weeks later it will launch itself south and fly, alone across thousands of miles of land and sea it has never crossed, to a continent it has never seen, and arrive in the exact wintering grounds its parents left before it could fly. Nobody guides it. The entire map is written in, the same way the murder was, the same way the forged egg was. So our chick, the blind one from the very start, heaving eggs over the edge of a reed warbler's nest. It cleared that nest, every last one, and it never even opened its eyes to do it. And then it spent a month as an only child to two exhausted little birds who fed it until it was 3 times their size, who never once understood that their real chicks were gone, that the giant in their nest was the reason. It grew, and it fledged, and one cold morning, it turned south on its own and vanished toward Africa, carrying a map it was never given, to meet, at last, the strangers it was born from. It didn't survive by being cared for. It survived by turning care itself into a weapon. So if this one got under your skin, subscribe. There's a new wild survival story here every single week. And be honest with me, down in the comments, knowing everything it does, the murder, the lie, the stolen childhood, can you actually bring yourself to hate it? Or is it just a small blind animal doing the only thing it was ever built to do? Because it never chose any of this. It just hatched, in a stranger's nest, already knowing exactly how the con would go. Somewhere out in the reeds this spring, in a nest that looks perfectly ordinary, another one already does.